While millions of people are currently screaming at their screens, faces painted, hearts racing, and emotionally devastated because a group of strangers lost a game, there's a massive group of people who simply don't care. According to neuroscience, their brains might actually be wired differently. Stay with me because understanding this doesn't just explain sports, it reveals a lot about how we all process belonging, reward, and identity. Here's the truth nobody talks about. Not caring about sports doesn't make you boring or passionless. It just means your brain is running a different operating system than the 60% of people who follow sports religiously. To understand the non-fan, we first have to ask, why do people care so much? Humans are tribal creatures. For millennia, belonging to a group meant survival. Sports are essentially modern tribes with better merchandise. When a fan watches their team, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It literally tricks them into feeling like these athletes are family. But people who don't obsess over sports often have what psychologists call lower tribal instincts. Their identity isn't tied to a group. They're more individualistic, often feeling they don't need to belong to something bigger to feel complete. A 2019 study even found that these individuals show significantly less us versus them thinking. They don't automatically see a stranger as an enemy just because of the color of their jersey. It gets deeper when we look at the chemistry of excitement. You know that hit you get when opening a gift? That's dopamine. For sports fans, every play provides a microdose of anticipation. It's a form of intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological loop that makes slot machines so addictive. If you don't care about sports, your dopamine system simply isn't triggered by vicarious competition. And this might be genetic. Research suggests that variations in dopamine receptor genes can actually predict how much someone cares about spectator activities. Your indifference to the big game might literally be written in your DNA. There's also the concept of basking in reflected glory. Fans say, "We won," when the team succeeds, but "they lost" when they fail. Non-fans don't do this. They tend to have a more stable self-concept that doesn't fluctuate based on things outside their control. They don't need an external victory to feel successful. Now, this doesn't mean non-fans lack empathy. It's about empathy allocation. While fans practice caring deeply for strangers on a field, non-fans often direct that emotional energy elsewhere. Social causes, personal relationships, or creative projects. In fact, studies show people with low sports interest often score higher in openness to experience. They find their emotional highs in art, music, nature, or complex ideas. They're seeking the same sense of transcendence. They're just finding it in a different place. For some, this indifference is a defense mechanism, perhaps a response to being excluded by sports culture in the past. For others, it's a logical disconnect. They see the randomness of sports and think, why invest in an outcome I can't control? It's a clash of narratives. One group finds an epic story in a championship run. The other finds it in a novel, a scientific discovery, or a personal goal. It's parasocial investment versus direct engagement. Non-fans usually prefer to invest energy where there's reciprocity, where their actions actually affect the outcome. Interestingly, people who don't follow sports often report feeling more present. Instead of spending 3 hours watching someone else's struggle, they're engaged in their own. There's something quietly radical about that. So what's the takeaway? If you don't care about the big game, you're not missing a fundamental human experience. You're just calibrated differently. The next time someone asks, "Did you see the game?" and you genuinely couldn't care less, remember, you're not broken. You're just playing a different game, one that might have even higher stakes. If this resonated with you, you'll probably want to know why quiet people process information differently and why that might be your greatest secret advantage. Click here to find out why your brain thinks differently than the crowd.